We are three. On Sunday, we celebrated our third anniversary here at Elephant Sandwich. And so I'm going to spend the rest of the month kind of talking about what I've learned in my first 3 years here at Elephant Sandwich, and kind of look ahead towards where we're going. So yesterday, over on my page, over on the Book of Faces, I shared about this former client of mine, and the mistakes I made in that really ultimately led to things not working out. And I have noticed that many of the phone calls and the people that I'm talking to this week, they all seem to be centered on the same thing, and it is our struggle to say no. No. Not mine, not my responsibility, or I can't, or even I don't want to. And it's probably no surprise that I have a lot of trouble with saying no. I don't ever want to let anybody down, ever. And that thought just sort of sends me into some weird spiral. And it seems that I am surrounded by other people who have that same struggle. And so today I wanted to just talk a little bit about how we get caught up in saying yes when that's not really what we should be saying. So, um, I'm just going to kind of recap a little bit about this thing from the past, because it shows me so much of where I get myself stuck and what I get tangled up in when I'm not being true to myself, and when I don't feel comfortable or confident enough to say no, thank you, no. Um, so there was this former client that I met at a networking group, and my first red flag was that this person didn't show up several times when we had set appointments to meet. And I blew right past that. I mean, I don't like being stood up. I mean, I enjoy my own company, and I will certainly find things to do to entertain myself at Starbucks, but um I'm I'm not a big fan of flakiness. And yet I didn't really even address this much with this person, um, because she was, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to talk gender and I just slipped. This person was new to the group. I didn't know them well. I I was kind of feeling like an imposter in the professional networking group, and so the last thing I wanted was to make somebody mad. And I didn't have a lot going on in my business yet. I mean, the whole reason I was going to this networking group was looking for business, and so hopefully, I was coming from a place of fear. And because I was coming from a place of fear, I felt like I couldn't afford to say no. I want to say that again. Because I was coming from a place of fear, I didn't feel like I could afford to say no. There's problem number one. So we set up the first time that we actually met. Second red flag. We were supposed to be doing networking, which meant we would get to know each other. We would learn about each other's businesses. We would figure out how we might be able to help each other, who I might know that could be helpful to them, who they might know that could be helpful to me. And instead, the entire conversation was dominated by this other person trying to sell to me. And again, red flag. And I blew right past it. Again, I ignore the flag because, once again, I'm writing excuses for someone else's behavior. Well, maybe they don't understand. what these meetings are supposed to be for and how they're supposed to unfold. Certainly, in professional networking groups, we do hire each other from time to time, but that is typically initiated by the person who wants to do the hiring. It's sort of bad form to turn a networking meeting into a sales pitch. And unless there's been some interest and I'd like to hire you, or I'm really interested, this sounds like something I need, kind of deal. So I blow right past that. Eventually, this person decides that they are interested in my services, that they would like to talk to me about that. And we set up another meeting, and I sat at Starbucks for hours, y'all. I'm not even kidding. 4 hours. 4 hours I waited. And it's not like I was told I'm going to be 4 hours late. I was told I'm going to be half an hour late. Okay, I'll wait. Oh, it's looking like it might be another 20 minutes. Okay, I'll wait. 45 minutes later, I get another call. I'm on my way, and that's what kept happening. And I continued to sit there and wait and get angry. It's not like I sat there and was graceful. I was really totally annoyed. But I didn't leave. Why didn't I leave? Because there was a dangling hook that said I might be interested in hiring you. And I didn't want to run off that business. Now, what the actions were saying was, I don't respect your time, or your time isn't as important as mine, or something. I mean, 4 hours late. Come on now. This was kind of goofy. But again, I blow right past these red flags, and I wait and wait and wait for this person to show up. By the time they get there, they're so frazzled that we don't accomplish anything. And I'm pretty sure they hired me out of guilt for being that late. I mean, really and truly. And it went downhill from there. That's the goofiest part. This thing started off bad and went way worse. And there were about 25 times I should have spoken up and said, no, I don't think so. No, that doesn't sound like a good idea. No, that's not what I do. No, I'm sorry. That's not a part of the service that we offer. I mean, this happened over and over and over again. And I let insecurity or fear or something convince me that it wasn't okay for me to say no. And so, long story short, or short story long, actually, it didn't work out. And when it ended, I was both relieved and frustrated because I was angry at how much work trying to make this work was for me. But again, I'm the one who didn't lay out the lines and say, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't do, and this is the way that I work, and this doesn't seem to be a good fit. So I signed up for all of it. And then I got my feelings hurt when I had tried to be so accommodating, and it didn't turn out well. So fast forward to this week, and I'm talking to several different people who are in these situations where they're struggling and they know they need to be saying, this isn't mine, or I can't, or they're doing things they don't want to do that aren't really their responsibility. And I hear myself saying the things that I need to hear. And one of the things that I used to, for a long time, most of my friends were guys, and I figured out it's because I liked that my guy friends, I'm not going to say all guys, but my guy friends were pretty straightforward. I knew when they were annoyed with me. I knew when they weren't. I knew, I knew if they wanted to do something, and if they didn't seem to have any trouble saying, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not gonna. And I mean, I don't remember it being a big deal, but I kind of like that real straightforward thing. And what I had found with some of my women friends were they would say, "Oh, yeah, we should totally do that." And then nothing ever happened. Or they'd say, "Yeah, we should totally do that." And then they'd back out. And, I just never felt like I had a sense of yes meant yes and no meant no. And I'm as guilty as anybody of that. And so, as I was talking to probably the third person today about, being able to say, enough, this is not my responsibility. I have other things I have to do. I started really thinking about um, a way to kind of shift my mind surrounding saying no to make it just a little more easy, a little easier for me to do. And the first thing that I want to talk about is this. This is your plate. Everyone I know has a pretty freaking full plate. And so we start stacking all this stuff on the plate. And that's what starts happening. Here comes the stuff, and it's all on it's not a real sturdy plate anyway. And then, and then here comes, okay, do you see what's happening? You see what's happening? And then somebody says, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this thing with a committee, and it'll only take, 14 hours in the next year." And you start, and what happens is, okay, I can totally do that. Only what's going to give is what I'm saying. Yes, you totally just saw my emotional support, peanut butter, and how much crap is on my desk. Anyway, so that's question number one is what's going to give. If I'm going to say yes to this new thing, what am I taking off of the plate? Because the plate doesn't hold more. As a matter of fact, the plate should probably be holding less, because I'm guaranteeing you these people that I'm talking to don't have a ton of time by themselves. They don't have a lot of time for just being, relaxing, enjoying, laughing, eating queso, because they got all this stuff, because they got a problem saying no. So question number one is, if I'm putting something new on the plate, what's coming off? And let's be real clear on that. Because my no's dictate what I can say yes to. I'm going to slow that down. My no's dictate what I can say yes to. So if someone just assumes that I will do something and they sign me up, or they tell others that I would be happy to, I'm sure that I got a text today that said, "I got your name from such and such, and they said you'd be happy to do this thing." I don't really know how they would know that I would be happy to do this thing, because they don't have any idea what all I got stacked on my plate. I don't even know what all I got stacked on my plate for that weekend, but okay, I'll get back with you. But that wasn't even, it didn't even feel like an invitation. It felt kind of like a demand, like someone else had already agreed for me that I would do this. And so if I let someone demand my time or my attention or my energy or my money, then I am not free to say yes to an invitation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I allow somebody else to dictate, what I'm going to do next weekend, and it's not something that we have agreed upon, and I know this happens in marriages, and I know women are real bad about, "My husband, he'll go, whatever." But if I allow a demand to get an automatic yes, then I'm going to have to say no to an invitation. If Now I've noticed it. I talked a little bit about being manipulative. Some of us have a hard time being real direct, and so um, we don't we're not coming at things straight on. So if I allow somebody to manipulate me into doing something that's not my responsibility, um, I'm going to have to say no to inspiration. I may have a great idea on how I could bless somebody or how I could surprise somebody or something that I could do to be of service. But if I'm busy over here because I've been manipulated into, signing up for the kit committee or baking the cupcakes or running them over there, then that inspiration is going to go ignored because I don't have the time or the energy or the bandwidth to do it. Here's one that we get caught up in just quite a bit, and that is guilt. Whether it is guilt that I have more than somebody else does, or guilt that I may have let somebody down in the past, or guilt because they're going through a hard time. If I let guilt convince me that I should say yes when I know I just don't have it to give, then I'm going to have to say no to an opportunity when it arises because I will be tangled up with something else. And so I've got to be really careful that I am not by default saying yes and blocking myself off to the real things, the things that I truly want in my life, because I'm building these barriers between me and those things. And I'm letting fear and demands and frustration and guilt and obligation and all these attitudes, this mindset stuff, I'm letting those things convince me that it's just easier for me to overextend myself than it is for me to stand up for myself. It is easier for me to overextend myself than it is for me to stand up for myself. I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. What I do has value, and what people pay me for is time. It is the only thing that I can't make more of. I can make more money. I can make more stuff. I can type more words. I can share more videos, but I cannot make more time. Ultimately, that is the biggest asset in my business, and it is the greatest gift that I can share with other people. And so it's important that I figure out where I choose to invest it, how I choose to spend it, and what I choose to use my limited amount of energy on. I hope that's going to help you say yes to some really exciting things coming up. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you again next week. Get out there and make some things happen. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.